Everybody, sorry this camera angle's shocking, but it's quite hard to film somebody this tiny. I think I'm mega wonky, but it's fine. So this is Mr JB, and today with Mr JB I want to start some work with him. So by that I mean just some training on the ground with the view to teaching him a few tricks and stuff like that. But in the beginning we'll just kick off with the basics, because we've never done anything before, have we, Tiny? No! But in the future I have some ideas of what I'd like to do. So in an ideal world I'll teach him some things, teach Hannes some things, and they'll work together in some kind of little, I don't know, display performance. I'm not quite sure what you call it. But that's a way off. It's just something, I guess, to work towards, for me to aim for. But yeah, I think they work together really nicely. As for Xiaoqia, who's my other one that I work with, she'll also be able to do some cool stuff as well in the future, but I don't think she'll work with anyone. She's a one-woman act. I think if she wouldn't want to share the attention with anyone else, no. But you know, the main thing is with this, I think, is not to get too caught up in the tricks and the fancy stuff. I mean, yeah, that is sort of the end goal of when you're teaching them something, but the main thing is that you're enjoying it, they're enjoying it, you're having a nice time together, and the most important thing really is that they try, because sometimes when you're trying to teach something new and they'll offer a try and it's not actually what you're asking them to do, but they tried, and that's what matters, innit, gents? Yes. But yeah, I think he'll be great fun. I think he's also going to be quite cheeky because he is quite sassy. But I think we will have good fun together when we yesh. And then obviously within our training as well, it might be quite few and far between, because obviously time and stuff like that, you know, none of us really have the time that we'd like to. I mean, we all train the horses and try to keep on top of them as best we can. But especially this time of year, we perhaps don't have the time that we'd like to, because obviously it goes darker sooner, the weather's more unpredictable, there's more mundane jobs to be done, but we just do what we can when we can, and it's little baby steps in each jobs. Yes. But yeah, this little man, he is cheeky, but he's really sweet, and I think he will be good fun. Yes. Mwah. I also have some other stupid ideas that I'm also going to teach myself, to do some acrobatical stuff and do that with them. I'm not naturally bendy or naturally bouncy, but just like I train the horses to do things, I can train myself. And I think I'd like to share, you know, the journey on the channel, because it'll be a good thing to show, because I think what perhaps makes me unique from other people that perhaps share this type of stuff is I have no idea what I'm doing, and I freely admit to that, so I'm learning as I go rather than the finished article. It's like Xiaoqia, I've taught her to bow, but I realise now I've done it, the mistakes I've made with teaching her to do that. I perhaps skipped a couple of steps without meaning to, because I hadn't realised there were certain things that I needed to do. So obviously now with him and Hannes, when I teach them to do that, I won't make that mistake again. And there's other mistakes I've made with her as well, and there's other mistakes I will make, but I think during the process it's not the mistakes that matter, it's you realising and learning from them, then you can fix them and you don't make them in the future. Isn't that right? Yes. So I have all sorts of weird and wonderful ideas, and now it's just time for me to crack on with them and make them a reality. And this will also be good for me if I want to sort of video the journey, because it's accountability, you know? So ideally the end product, well, not the end product because there's no end product, but it's a constant learning journey, and that's the beautiful thing about it. But I'd have Hannes and Jabs working together doing some cool stuff, I'd have myself doing some acrobatical stuff, and then I'd have Xiaoqia as well. But, you know, we're a long way off that, but it's just little steps to make it happen. Isn't that right, Jabs? Yes. Come on, Tiny. Okay, so me and the tiny person, you can only see Aziz here because he is tiny, have just arrived in the arena, and the first thing I'm going to do is just a bit of walking around with him, because I've never done anything with him before, and just see what he picks up on and what he doesn't, because the idea is that, so what I'm going to work on today is just a bit of the basics, you know, getting him to walk with me, speed up when I speed up, slow down when I slow down, getting backing up as well, and then what this does is it just lays the foundation of, I guess, building the basic communication, also teaching them, it'll teach them to follow you as well, because obviously naturally horses, they are a herd animal, they want to do things in synchrony with others, so they naturally have that, I guess, the desire inbuilt in them to synchronize. It's just up to us as the human to figure out how to tap into that and how to build that connection and that bond with them. Because I think as well, with training your horse to do anything, especially stuff like this, liberty, trick training, whatever you want to call it, I'm not a fan of names, is that people, they make the mistake of trying to teach the horse how to speak human, when actually it's us as the human who needs to learn how to speak horse. We need to speak their language, not expect them to understand ours. And to do that, you know, I think it's just a case of listening to every little thing they tell you, because they do tell you so much, in their body language, in their behaviour, sometimes as well. I remember with Xiaoqie, when I was first started doing some stuff with her, she tried to bite me quite a lot, and a lot of that was partly because she's naturally quite defiant. She likes to try and dominate people, and she didn't like the fact I was trying to be her leader. But also partly because she didn't understand me in the beginning, because I wasn't being clear enough, and also because she was finding it hard, and that was just her way of letting me know that I don't understand. What do you want me to do? This is too difficult. So when she did that, it was important for me to listen, back off a bit, take it back a step, explain it more clearly, and we'd make progress. You know, going back to communicating with them in our language, for starters, we're vertical, they're horizontal, so that's already one major difference. But yeah, we'll see what we can do. Human and little tiny, because the idea is as well, with them walking around with you, ideally, you want, well, with a big horse, you want their shoulder by your shoulder. Wherever your shoulder goes, the big horse, their shoulder follows. So you target train them for that. But with a little pony, obviously it's slightly different because they're slightly smaller. But the idea is, I just want really his shoulder to sort of stay in line with my shoulder, so wherever I go, his shoulder will follow. But to start with, he's not going to know that, he's not going to understand that, it's just a case of me explaining it to him. Okay, good boy. One more time. Yeah. Good boy. Good. Uh-oh. Good. Good more. Good boy. Yes, and hold. Good. Good boy. So already he's got quite a good understanding of what I'd like him to do, so I'm just going to now add in some speed. Okay? Come on. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy, that's it. Come on. Good boy, come on. Good boy. Good. Let's change direction. Oh. Good boy. I'm going to go to the other side of you. Okay. So already he reacts to my energy quite well. I do have to encourage him a little bit to speed up with me, but that's okay. So when I do that, I just sort of go like this, you know, make my energy more upbeat for him to feed off, and I also go to imply that I'd like more speed, a bit more energy there, because ideally you want different sounds for different things. Again, that's another big mistake we make as working with our horses, is we tend to use one sound for everything. So we go, okay, let's go forwards, let's go backwards, and then of course the sound they associate then, so if you use that sound for everything there, you're using that to go forwards and backwards, which are two completely different things. Again, that's another mistake I made. So now I'm going to try and get him to go backwards a bit. So the idea for this is you just walk into them with a bit of energy and they'll back up off that. But naturally, I've found not many of them naturally want to do this. So we'll try that with him now. Okay, come on. We're going to turn around. Yeah, that's rude. Come on, turn around. Good boy, ho. Good. Good boy. Okay, so now we're just going to ho. Good boy. Hey, JB, back. Going back. Good boy. Up. Good boy, going back. 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 Going back. Yeah. So here he's trying to evade going backwards. So just good boy. Yeah, my little man. Back. Up. Back. No. Up. No. That's rude. Go on. That's rude. So here he's actually pushing into me, being quite cheeky. He doesn't want to go backwards, so again. Come here. Good boy, don't you? Thank you. You've been, whoa, that's savage. He's been really pushy. Get up. That's it. Good boy. Turn around. So already we've encountered our first hurdle. That's cheeky. You know. Good boy. Okay. Back. Good boy. Back. Good. Good boy. Good boy. So there, I mean, it was a bit pathetic, but he did make the slightest shuffle backwards, so you reward even the littlest thing. Good boy. That's it. Good. Okay. And again. Go back. 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 Out. Back. Back. Good. So there, you did go backwards, but you moved forwards. So back. Go on. Back. Good boy. Couple of steps back there as well. Good boy. And then ideally he'll just start to realise that if he just goes backwards, then that's what we want him to do. And a little turn here. Good boy. Come on. Come on. Good boy. So just by doing little turns like that as well, that starts to teach them to obviously do the shoulder with you. It also gives you an idea of how much they're listening, because all of the leading about you do with them, you do with slacking the rope, so you're not pulling them, you're not dragging them, they are coming with you. And when if they back off at all, instead of pulling them forwards, applying pressure on the head collar, you want to drive them forwards. So you really use your own energy to elevate, and if they don't listen to that, what you can even do is either get the end of the rope and just sort of tap them, or even the stick, and just give them a little touch there, just to remind them of where you'd like the energy to be. And by that I don't mean, you know, beating them, Jesus Christ, no, just a little touch there, just to go, okay, a bit more energy forwards, and then they'll learn what that means, because it's not about teaching them where to be, it's about teaching them where not to be. So, and by that I mean you create energy in a space you don't want them to be. Yes. So obviously when I want him to go backwards, by blocking him forwards and creating an energy here, so I'm telling him that I'd like to go backwards away from my space and away from my energy. At the moment he's just not too keen on the concept, but that's okay, he'll get there. Yes. Good boy. So what we're going to do as well today is I'm also just going to get him to come with me again. Here. Good boy. And then we can also teach him how to draw into me. So by that, what I mean is if I back up like this, my stick like this, he'll just follow me round with it, and then when I want him to come into me, I just lower it to the ground and he'll stop by my shoulder like so. Good boy. Good boy. And we'll do the same this way. Good boy, this way. Good. And forward. Forward. Oh. Good. And that's just drawing them into you, so you use the stick there to guide the energy, and then lower it when their shoulder's by your shoulder, and that's where you stop. But yeah, it's just little things like that, just little steps, because the main thing is that they're enjoying it and you don't push them too hard too early. So at the moment all I want him to do is come with me, react to my energy, do a few little turns, back up, draw into me, and that'll do for now. So we'll even try the back up again. Good boy. Back. Back. Good boy. Good boy. That was it. Good boy. Good. Good boy. Yes, he's a good boy. So I'm really happy with that actually, because there all I had to do was just go back, bit of energy, and he just offered it. No resistance whatsoever. So yeah, we'll leave that for the backing up today. And that for today, that will do. Good boy. Yes, he's a very good little man. He's probably looking at me like, what the hell? You know, this is so easy. I already knew how to do this. But you know, it's just the beginning. Just establishing your relationship, what we expect from each other. Respect as well is a very important thing mutually, because before you're their friend, they have to respect you as their leader. It's a bit like being a parent. You love your kids to the moon and beyond, but also they have to respect you and in theory listen to you and do what you say. It's the same with a horse. But you know, as I said, the respect is mutual. In return, you'll respect them and listen to them. When they're finding something challenging, they'll tell you and you listen to that. Good boy. Because I know for me as well, sometimes when I'm doing stuff with them, stuff like this, sometimes you liking that? Yeah. My problem is sometimes I get a bit stressy, or sometimes I nag them a bit too much, or perhaps ask a bit too much too soon. And sometimes I perhaps forget to listen as well as I should, so that's something I'm consciously working on, because you know, I'm only 18, I'm young and impatient, so that's just something I need to work on. And I think sometimes I'm in, I guess, in a bit of a rush to get to the finished product, not the finished product, but if I'm working towards a certain trick or a certain thing, whereas actually it's more important just to enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, and just enjoy building that bond and that connection with them, because ultimately that's what matters. And then what I'm also learning is sometimes in the past, like with Xiaoqi, when I've got stressy with things, the time when we actually make the progress is when I relax and take the pressure off, and then it just happens, because you're not forcing it, they're not picking up on any bad or tenseness from you, and it just flows. And I think that's the main thing with them, is finding the flow. And I haven't found that with Xiaoqi yet, I haven't found that with any of them yet, but I will find that. It's just something I think really as well that for me I need to find from within myself, and then that'll transfer to them. Yes, because I think when you're doing anything like this with your horses, it's important to look at yourself as well and go, okay, where are my areas that are gonna make me better or worse at this? So am I stressy? I don't know, am I angry? Am I this? Am I that? Because obviously your horse is gonna pick up on that, and ideally you just want to be as relaxed as possible at all times to make your space inviting, so they want to be with you, rather, you know, not force them, but they want to by choice. Good boy. And yeah, I think anytime she do get frustrated, because sometimes in the past with Xiao I have got frustrated because she's quite challenging and she has tested me, and when you get like that, you just, I think, go back to the basics and then walk away. And it's important as well, you know, not to let your emotions take over, because if your emotions take over, then their emotions take over and you've both lost it. So just stay calm at all times. But also, sometimes you do have to tell them if they're challenging you or pushing the boundaries a bit. But again, you have to tell them and you have to be assertive, but do it in a calm way. Or other times, sometimes with Xiaoqi in the past, if she's been doing something rude or something that she shouldn't, sometimes the best thing to do is just to completely ignore them and carry on like nothing's happening. But you know, it's up to you, assess the situation and assess your horse. And yeah, good boy, he's a handsome man. It's also really important just to take the time, spending the time like this with them, you know, just to bond with them and spend the time with them when you're not asking anything, because it's not fair if you just ask all the time. Is it, little man? No. Yes. Yes. You liking that? He is liking that. But yeah, we'll leave that for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. As I said, do not hold me accountable for anything, because I do not claim to know what I am doing. I kind of think that most people who actually do know what I'm doing will probably look at me in horror. And I'll probably look at me in a few years' time when I actually know what I'm doing in horror. But you know, it's fine, it's a process. Just figuring it out as we go. Sometimes I think, do I need a mentor? Do I need someone to teach me? Which potentially I might do, but for the time being, you know, obviously I've got Tracy and her knowledge, and also I think I do my own research myself. I read books, I watch videos, and I think the most important teacher really is your horse, because if you listen to them, they'll tell you everything you need to know. Isn't that right, little man? Yes. Good boy. Oh, yeah, man, handsome. Photo it. Good. Oh, that was nice. I picked up on the energy.
Tiny Penny, massive mouth. I honestly, he just shoved the whole carrot in there. He has quite a strong jaw as well, although that's hardly surprising. One thing I did forget to do with him today was start doing a little pattern, which is basically just where you get them to yield their quarters over, which is there, so just cross them over, and then in front you get them to come in like a little circle with their shoulders. Well, I'm not going to explain it now because it won't make sense, but you'll see it in future videos. Something I did in the very beginning with Xiao. It's good for them because it gets their body moving. you know, the flexibility, the mobility, the strength, but it also encourages relaxation through the body. And relaxation is one of the most important aspects, because a relaxed horse is a happy horse, and a happy horse wants to learn. And also they're happy, and that's the main thing. Innit, Jabs? Yes. Jabsity! That's it. Also, can we please make it our mission to make this little guy as big as Teddy the Shetland? I'm going to get him a Teddy the Shetland poster, actually, something to aspire to. JB the Shetland. He's actually a miniature Shetland. He was from Ireland originally. He was like, he's not crying, by the way, I've just wiped his eyes because they were crusty. Oh, it's a cat. Oh. That's probably them telling me that they need feeding. I heard it, but I don't know where it is. I can't find it. Oh well, there is a cat here somewhere. You just can't see it because I can't see it. I'm going to pop him back out now. Cat. That's also the sponge I need to put in a wash, because I just wiped JB's bum with it because it was gross. Sometimes that does happen in the winter when they have a rug on like this with like a tail flap. Some of the boys can't be bothered to lift their tails up properly, so then they get a load of poo in their crack, and it's just not fun. Gross little man. Yes. Though it's not your fault though, is it? No. He also has the world's coolest hair. Tiny person's back in his little house now with his big person friend Hoitzer. Oh, that's cute. He hasn't just run away. Oh, there he goes. Bye, Tiny. Love you. I don't think Tiny loves me too, but that's okay. You know, I had to accept that actually in the very beginning of mine and Xiaoqi's relationship or partnership, was that I was always going to love her more than she loves me, because she is slightly narcissistic. She's a narcissist. But you know, it's just something I've had to come to accept and come to terms with. But hopefully with Jabbers, he might love me back in time. That'd be nice. But even if he doesn't, as long as I love him, that's all that matters. Bye, Tiny. Off he goes to the big man. Hey, Hoitzer. Oh, it's nice here. They're happy. They got a nice view of everything. They got their hay, and you can see the sun there popping through.